I need to actually move the camera back because this is the biggest e-bike I've actually ever had on the channel. This is the LE20 model from Engwe, and I was definitely excited to try this because it's the biggest cargo e-bike. Actually, no, it's the first cargo e-bike I've ever actually reviewed because you can carry 2 people on this and you can get a side rack as well. And I saw one guy around my area on a bike similar to this carrying his kid. So it's absolutely excellent if your country allows that. And if you actually take a close look, the kickstand on this is basically a dual kickstand. So, and the reason for this, I'm guessing, is that if you have passengers, let's say kids, and you need to go into a store or whatever the case is, and you just leave your kid on the back for a minute or two, they can simply, of course, it's extremely difficult to tip over the e-bike with that actually kickstand there, and I've never had something like that before. That is actually a very, very nice design. You could buy a normal kickstand if you want, but for something like this, carrying a couple of passengers, it's an excellent, excellent design. So the first test you're going to see is the speed test. So let's take a look at that and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so let's do a speed test on the LE20. We're at 100% battery. I'll put it on to mechanical gear 7, and we are on assistance 5, so the highest one possible. We should be able to get 25 kilometers an hour on this. I am pedaling basically as hard as possible, and we're going downhill. So does it resist going downhill? No, I'm actually going 29 kilometers going downhill, 31 kilometers going downhill, which is actually quite nice, and you can just let it free roll. But yes, there we go. So the top speed is 25 kilometers an hour on this model. Now, as you can see there, the top speed on this model is 25 kilometers an hour. However, if you're actually going down a hill, the bike doesn't resist and it keeps going, which is actually quite nice. So you kind of get a bit of free range and save your battery there. So it's very nice to see. Now, this model, of course, is restricted to 25 kilometers an hour because it doesn't have a throttle here. So a lot of countries are restricted nowadays. So it will be suitable for most people. Plus it has that 250 watt motor. So it will fall into actually most regulations. I did reach out to Engwe, can it be unlocked? They said no, it can't be unlocked, and after doing extensive research, it just can't happen. A lot of Engwe bikes can be fully unlocked. I reviewed a lot of them, like the EP2 Pro, the M20, that can be unlocked very, very easily and get a very high top speed. But even carrying passengers, you would not want to be going 45 kilometer hours. You know, it's just not safe. So I think that's one of the reasons why this model is locked. So I did do a brake test on this e-bike. Let's have a quick look. Brake test. Okay, let's say we're going downhill quite fast. It does have full hydraulic brakes, so it should be okay. Okay, full force. Whoa. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Full hydraulic. Happy days. So as you can see there, with full hydraulic brakes on an e-bike that actually goes 20-25 kilometer top speed, does an excellent job. No worries in stopping, even with passengers with that extra weight. Now I did, of course, do a hill test. Let's take a look at that because I definitely need to talk about something. Okay, here we go. Our first hill around the corner. I'm definitely curious to see how this very long e-bike, heavy e-bike with that mid-drive motor can perform. So what I'll do is I'll slow down a bit. I will have to drop my mechanical gears down in order to get up this hill. I hope it performs okay, because if you're carrying 2 passengers, I weigh 80 kilos. If you're carrying another 2 passengers, that's going to be interesting. Okay, here we go. We're on gear. Oh yeah, wow, whoa, yeah, excellent actually. Torque sensor, so even if I pedal harder, look at this, 15, 16. Excellent from that mid-drive motor. It's so easy to actually climb a hill on this. Wow, I'm actually quite surprised with that. Okay, let's do a bit of a harder hill test. I'll actually do this hill on the incline. So if you're stopped at a traffic light, for example, and you need to climb a hill, so we are still at 100% battery. We've done 4.5 kilometers and nothing has dropped. Okay, so let's go. Wow, that torque sensor kicks in so smoothly to get you up a hill. That is excellent. So if you're carrying, if your country allows you to carry passengers, let's say if you have kids or whatever, definitely this is an excellent e-bike to get you from A to B instead of using a car or public transport. And you can get loads of accessories for this e-bike, including a side rail for those passengers. So excellent, absolutely fantastic e-bike from Engwe. Very happy. Now I was so happy with the mid-drive motor on this. It got me up that hill. No matter what mechanical gear I was on, it pushed me up that hill, no problem. And there's no doubt in my mind that if you're carrying a few people on this, it will get you up a lot of hills. It does say the motor is 250 watts, but to be honest, it feels so much more. And it's nice and smooth. It's just buttery smooth. The tension is perfect on it. You can change your mechanical gears on it. It's integrated so well into the e-bike. It's such a nice, sleek design. And of course, because it's in the middle of the bike, you have a good center of gravity. Because normally if you have a motor at the front or at the rear, the center of gravity is naturally completely off. But with that mid-drive motor, I definitely would love to see more e-bikes incorporating that, because I absolutely love it. Now, brief talk about the suspension on this. Let's take a look at that test and then I'll talk about it. Okay, let's do a quick suspension test. A lot of Engwe's bikes lately have had very good suspension that are very hard to bottom out. So let me just have a look, pull my full force on it. Oh. Okay, I can bottom it out if I go very hard. Okay, so yeah, I can bottom it out if I go ridiculously hard with it, but you can lock it as well actually if you want, but not a lot of complaints about it. Not, of course, at the end of the day, let's talk reality here. This is basically a commuter bike to get you from A to B, passengers with kids, so not much of a concern. You're not going to be going over crazy bumps. So overall, I'm actually quite happy with the LE20. So as you can see there is not a lot of travel actually on this suspension, so you can bottom it out if you're going ridiculously crazy, going over very harsh bumps with even people on the e-bike. So you can bottom it out quite easy, but to be honest, you can simply lock that if you want, because I did have that fully open doing the test, so I could basically see where it can bottom out. But if you want, you could even put it halfway, so it would definitely be a little bit better. Of course, naturally firmer, but it's not much of a deal breaker on this bike. And there is one feature. This battery is of course completely removable. You can take that out in a few seconds, so let me show you that. So you get two keys with this e-bike, so you simply just pop it in and then it comes out like this. It's extremely heavy, but the joys about this is if you need to lock up your bike, you just take out your battery and then you just bring it into your home or your office or whatever, and then you can simply just charge it here. So it's absolutely excellent. And of course, from Engwe, their battery casings always are really nice quality, very durable. So overall, of course, I'm happy with this. This bike is full of other features, so let me show you. The display is one of the smallest displays in the world, but I must say I do actually really like it. It lights up really nice, it's very bright. Your gears is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Of course, giving you the most assistance. 96% battery. I actually rode this for 8 kilometers that day, 8.8 kilometers. And I used only 4% battery because I was of course using the mechanical gears on number 7 to save battery. Plus there is no, of course, ghost pedaling on this e-bike. You of course have a standard finger bell here. Another cool thing is that these handlebars are actually height adjustable as well, which is very nice. Folding mechanism is really nice on this e-bike. Of course it is not foldable, you cannot fold this bike at all, but because of the size of it, if you just take a look at the sheer size of it, I mean, that would be awkward in any way. 2 passengers, one here, one here. You can even get the side rail so that they can rest their arms on the side rail as you are riding. And you might be saying, what is this? Well, you can actually get a second battery for this e-bike and even double the range. I'll talk about the specs now in a second, but just stick with me. You of course have a tensioner here as well to tension the chain. Of course, like what I said, that rear motor is really nice and very smooth. Another thing they state on the website is that these 20-inch, these are basically a street tire, are puncture proof. Now on another Engwe bike, the Boost model that I reviewed has a 3mm of puncture proof jelly inside, so they seem to be incorporating this into their huge fat tires, which is a huge bonus. You of course have a front light here and you have a rear light here. So we'll go through the specs one more time, then I'll give my overall opinion. So it states on the website, if you have a look, it has 340 kilometer range with dual batteries in assist mode, one with a 75 kilogram rider and no other load. Okay, so realistically I'm 82 kilos, so if I had one battery and if I was going the higher top speed, I'd, realistically I'd probably get 60 kilometer range from one battery, 50-60 kilometer range assisting the motor. Of course, double the battery, double the range basically. The batteries, by the way, are 48 volt and are 19.2 amp hour lithium ion batteries, both the exact same. You do get a standard charger with this, by the way, so it can take between 6 to 8 hours to charge each battery, and you have to do them individually. But of course you can get a fast charger. Now there is a fast charger for the 3.0 Engwe Boost bike that I reviewed a while ago, and that was a 8 amp hour fast charger. It only took 2 hours to charge that e-bike, so you can actually buy the fast charger for this and cut that time in half, and it'll take 2 to 3 hours to charge each battery. Now you do need to consider the weight. The weight of this bike with one battery is 36.8 kilograms and the weight with both batteries is 41.5 kilograms. So this bike is definitely not for somebody who's looking to go off-road and do crazy things. This is basically a cargo bike to carry stuff, to carry a couple of passengers. Again, if your country only allows that, because a lot of countries don't allow that, but that's what this bike is mainly targeted toward. The speed is perfect, the quality is excellent, the dual battery option is excellent. It does have indicators, it has fantastic braking, has fantastic lights. The suspension is okay at the front, slow charging speeds, but of course you could get that fast charger there as well. It has that puncture layer within those street tires all around the bike, which is excellent. The height is adjustable on the saddle, the height is adjustable on the handlebars. It's very comfortable, smooth, and that mid-drive motor is just so nice. So I definitely look forward to testing more Engwe bikes to see where that type of technology goes. Now, if I double check the price on this model at the moment, as I'm basically shooting this video, it's 1,399 euro for the single battery, or if I click on dual batteries, it's 1,699. It comes in blue and it also comes in a grey. You can also get the LE20 passenger, which basically has the side rail here for bringing passengers with you for a bit more comfort and a bit more, I guess you could say, safety. So it's actually not too bad that you have those options there to put that rack on, which will only take you a few minutes at the back. It just goes kind of here and the rail comes up. You'll see pictures online of this. But overall, is it worth it? To be completely honest, I think for the single battery or dual battery, whatever you decide to do, if you need a bike to carry passengers, this is the one to get. I've never seen a bike like this. This is the one that I would personally buy if it was a must-have. I haven't reviewed anything else like it. I do think it's worth the money, and the quality is just so nice from this bike. Sometimes it does be on offer, sometimes you might save money, so definitely have a look at the current prices right now. In the meantime, stay safe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.